Mavis Gary is author of young adult fiction, and she lives in Minneapolis. She is a beautiful woman who is used to having things handed to her entire life, and she finds herself at a place where suddenly there's something that she wants and can't have, and it's her ex-boyfriend who is married. And she decides that she is going to drive to her hometown, break up his marriage, and get him back.
You know what, Mom, can you please take down that photo of me and Alan?
Which picture, sweetie?
The wedding photo? We are divorced.
We just thought it was a nice memory.
Of my failed marriage?
Well, the wedding wasn't a failure. Remember the tiramisu?
I like that, Alan.
Dad, he's my ex-husband. You're supposed to be on my team.
He's a nice guy, that's all. I didn't know there were teams.
It started as just a desire to see a female anti-hero on screen, because I can't even remember what movie it was that set me off, but I'd gone to see yet another movie with a really dark, complicated, interesting male protagonist who was, kind of a curmudgeon and really flawed and maybe an addict, and it was, a tour de force performance for the guy, and I thought, like, oh, I love these movies, but why isn't it ever a woman? So that was my primary objective when I began. But of course, it can't just be about making a statement. You have to find a story that is personal and a character that speaks to you, and so that is how Mavis began to take shape. I was so thrilled when Jason Reitman called me and said that he had offered the role to Charlize and that she was going to do it. Because honestly, I never dreamed of working with somebody like her. She is just the ultimate. She's just at the top of her game. She's got an Oscar. She's an icon. And I just admire her bravery. I think it can be difficult to be associated with a character like this. You really have to have guts to say that I'm going to be Mavis Gary. And she did it, and she committed 100%, and it's just one of my favorite performances I've ever seen.
I think we went to high school together.
At the same time?
Yeah, you're Mavis Gary?
Mavis Gary Crane now.
I'm Matt Freehoff. My locker was actually next to yours all through high school.
Matt. Freehoff, yeah. Yeah, your locker was right there. Right next to mine.
Mavis and Matt are a really unusual pairing because she is the type of guy that he is the type of guy that she would ordinarily never look at. And in fact, she went through 4 years of high school without ever looking at him, even though he was like basically her locker mate. And yet I love that he goes from being a person that she would never care about to the one person she cares about most and the one person she needs the most, because they, in a lot of ways, have the same worldview. He's a lot sweeter than she is, and he has, an essential warmth and goodness. But when it comes down to it, he's a cynic too. He's angry at the guy who's positive about his disability. He just thinks that's garbage, and she agrees. One of my favorite scenes in the movie, when I wrote it, was the scene where Patton and Charlize finally connect on a physical level. And their love scene, I guess you could call it, but it's really awkward. I don't. Spoiler alert. I can talk about that. Yeah. So I remember seeing scenes from it and thinking, like, oh my gosh, this is incredibly uncomfortable. What is this going to be like cut together? And when I see it, I just love it so much.
How are you?
Oh, how are you?
Good.
Here's that book for your niece.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for remembering. I'll send it to her.
There's a character in that one that's based on you.
What?
In the book. I mean, I named him Ashby, but it's so blatantly you. When you read it, it'll be obvious.
The great thing about working with Jason is I don't feel that I have to explain myself. Like, there's just no translation necessary. We speak the same language, and we just have a really good connection creatively. This time around, I wasn't on the set very often because I was a new mom. I was fortunate enough during the Juno process to be there for a lot of it, and Jason is a really great collaborator. This time, I was, caught up in my personal lives, but I was at home watching dailies. And every night I would get this round of dailies, and I would think to myself, like, wow, look what they're doing out there. Because you could even tell then, you can tell when something's working, and it was great stuff. My hope is that people feel that they have seen something that subverts the typical Hollywood happy ending. Because I think that the ending to this movie is ambiguous and it's challenging, and even along the way, I think there are certain conventions that are turned on their side, and I just really hope that people appreciate that, and I hope that they realize that it was so important to us to do something fresh.